Welcome to the Daily Sigh. This is Wednesday, February 25th, and this is your Daily Sigh of relief. Great big deep breath in. If you're an entrepreneur trying to keep up with what actually matters, this is for you. I go live every business day at 6 p.m. Eastern, and to the best of my ability, I give you everything that actually matters in the entrepreneurial world across business, AI, markets, platforms, and policy, all in 15 minutes or less. I read the news so you don't have to. If you want the Daily Sigh delivered directly to your inbox, you can go to dailysigh.ai. Let's dive right in. Our very first story. Trump defends tariffs in 108-minute State of the Union address from the Wall Street Journal. The administration is maintaining a temporary 10% global tariff rate with potential moves to 15%. This policy shift requires operators to model 10.15% cost increases into their supply chains and pricing strategies. The president also claimed pledges from tech companies to cover energy costs for AI data centers. That's probably not going to happen. We're moving toward a war on fraud and increased domestic regulation of both financial data and tech power consumption. National policy is increasingly being used as a lever to manage the economic shocks of the AI industrial revolution. Y'all, this tariff thing is no bullshit. This is going to change a lot, not just for e-commerce store sellers, for anybody who wants to buy something. Most of what we buy as Americans isn't made here. And so a 10 or 15% tariff is going to have significant implications and is absolutely worth paying attention to. This is also really interesting because I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court just told Trump he's not allowed to do that. So I don't know where all this ends in the power struggle. I don't understand how, to be honest with you, the executive branch has been able to get away with as much as it's been able to get away with. But that just is what it is. I'd be interested in your opinion if you've experienced direct impact from some of these tariffs. Probably because you're an e-commerce store seller, but even as a consumer, let me know. Next story comes from TechCrunch. Matt X raises $500 million to challenge NVIDIA's AI chip dominance. This is a big deal because right now AI or NVIDIA is truly the only game in town. There have been a couple of people or organizations, I should say, that have stepped up and said that they're going to challenge them. Google's one. Intel's another. Intel's a sad case, man. They should have been the ones. I don't know how they let themselves so far behind. This $500 million capital injection into a startup founded by ex-Google TPU engineers signals a massive escalation in the AI hardware arms race. If we had a competitive solution, I think it would bring about, to be honest, competitive competition is good for every major ecosystem, and that would put us in a position of being able to hopefully amplify the trajectory at which all of this is moving towards and drastically lower cloud computing and API costs if we had a second viable source. The battle for AI supremacy is shifting from software back to the physical foundational factories of silicon. Success in this space is no longer just about the best hardware. It's about building an ecosystem to rival NVIDIA's CUDA. I don't know what that is. If you know what NVIDIA's CUDA is, let me know. Sounds like a dirty word. From Wall Street Journal, AMD secures a $100 billion deal with Meta for AI data center units. Meta is committing to 6 gigawatts of processing power, giving them the option to own 10% of AMD. This massive deal validates AMD as a legitimate enterprise-grade challenger to NVIDIA's market leadership. Here we are trying to tackle NVIDIA again. Entrepreneurs should watch for a shift in GPU availability as major tech giants lock up supply through these mega deals. That means that all of the big money is buying all of the compute, and you and I aren't going to have access to any of it anymore. We are seeing a halo effect where heavy assets and compute infrastructure are becoming the new safety stocks for Wall Street. That'll be interesting to see whether or not that holds. A story from Small Business Trends. Intuit launches AI-powered ERP solution for construction industry. I really like this niche software discussion. This is the vertical AI playbook in action. Intuit is embedding specialized AI into project management and cost estimation for legacy industries. It demonstrates how AI moves from abstract chip wars to tangible tools that fix operational problems for SMBs. Here's the thing. I think that if enterprise organizations don't start building niche tools, their customers will. It's so easy right now to build your own tech stack from the ground up, start to finish. It's insane. So this is an interesting step, and I'd actually rather see the alternative, to be honest with you. I'd rather see people building their own tech stack using vibe coding tools, because then they're not at the mercy of this SaaS model that has been horribly pernicious. From Reddit, Superhuman buys Rose to build AI productivity suite. Superhuman acquired the spreadsheet app Rose to integrate AI-powered workflows. Why this matters: expect standalone tools to be absorbed into all-in-one AI platforms. Y'all, everything is converging. Everything is coming together into just one gobbledygook of code, which is really interesting. We'll see how well that works for all of us in the long run. Upwork lists hottest AI freelance skills. Also from Reddit, market data shows high demand for machine learning, NLP, and AI integration. NLP really surprised me. I always thought NLP was just like Tony Robbins' way of making more money, but it's turning out to be like a real job. The real money is in the implementation of AI to solve business problems, not just building models. And from IBJ, Google Gemini integration into Maps. Maps is becoming a conversational search experience for local businesses. SMBs must optimize for conversational queries to maintain local SEO visibility. Y'all, this is big. The fact that Gemini lives inside of Maps and people can actually talk to Maps now. I already kind of do this a little bit. Like it was a long time where I was only drinking oat milk because I'm an idiot. And I would look for oat milk lattes in Google Maps, and that's how I'd go to whatever store I was going to. This was way back when people didn't have 15 different types of milk. Now I drink normal milk. But milk aside, my dietary restrictions aside, being able to communicate with Gemini inside of Maps puts people in a position of actually like really diving deep from a search perspective in terms of where they're going locally. So if you're a small business, local business, brick and mortar, I think this could have massive implications. I actually think it could be like a really, to be honest with you, massive value proposition if you're willing to engage. But if you ignore it, and most of us will, let's be honest, especially small businesses and brick and mortar, because it's so hard to pay attention to that type of thing. If you ignore it, you're going to get left behind. So I think the Gemini integration in Maps is super cool. I'd also look for Gemini integration across the entire Google ecosystem. You're seeing it. It's in your email. It's in your Google Docs. They're like, you can talk to Gemini within these apps, and it cross-pollinates, which is really, really interesting. Again, I say this all the time, super, super long on Google. Really excited to see what they do. Google is run by lawyers. So my expectation is they actually have way more technology that they're not releasing, and the lawyers are just waiting to see what happens. But who knows? We'll see. If you've been paying attention, it's been a weird, tumultuous world with Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency's been up and down, then up and down, then up and down. It is now at $68,000, but it dropped all the way down to, what was it, just a few days ago? It was like a 64. I think this is interesting because it's going to show us where we land in terms of actually using crypto as infrastructure. If it can survive, this level of chaos, then maybe it survives long term. Who knows? I don't know. Don't listen to me if you want to lose money, follow me into the market. That's probably a good plan. Those are all the news stories I have. If you're watching this, did I miss anything that you think is critically important? Please hit me inside of the chat. You can always subscribe at whatever channel you like. I go live inside of Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and Instagram. For those of you that did show up live, thank you so much. I see Shy Lady, Dean, what's up, Dean? Long time, buddy. Life at 100K, Camillo, what's up, Camillo? And George. Shy Lady says, gobbledygook of code. Yes, the gobbledygook of code that is the entire tech stack. Y'all, the reinvention of the SaaS ecosystem is just like, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my professional life. We're watching category kings just disintegrate, just get wiped completely off the map. There are 12-year-olds building shit that can really replace massive enterprise grade software. My son's one of them. My son uses Base 44. That's the one he likes the best. I took both my boys and I just had them use different vibe coding tools, and I let them pick. And Sammy, my eldest, uses Base 44, and Ronan, my youngest, liked Bolt. And what was really interesting is the things that they build. Like Sammy builds games that are cooler than some of the games he plays on the Xbox, which I'm so proud of him for. So that lady says eBay just acquired Depop. I don't know what Depop is, but that sounds interesting. I'm going to Google it. What is Depop? And why did eBay buy it? What are they going for? Buy, sell, discover unique fashion. Depop is a popular peer-to-peer social shopping app primarily used for buying and selling vintage, thrifted, streetwear, and unique fashion items. That's super interesting. You know what that makes me think, Shy Lady, is agentic commerce is making its way into the mainstream. We're all just going to be buying things through AI tools. And I think that's going to make a lot of bespoke products far more accessible to more people. I think it actually creates more of a secondary market than currently exists. Like right now, you have to seek out like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or Depop if you wanted, like, I don't want to call it just used items, but secondhand, vintage. But once we live in an agentically enabled world, that was hard for me to say. Once we live in an agentically enabled world, you're going to find things like that available and accessible to you across the entire agentic infrastructure. And I think that actually makes secondhand items worth more because more people can see them and have access to them. So that's really interesting. To target Gen Z, which I found interesting. Yeah, that is really interesting. So eBay trying to target Gen Z makes a lot of sense. I wonder how digital what is my kids' gen called? I think they're called Gen Alpha. I wonder how digital. Gen Z is obviously digital, but I question whether or not Gen Alpha really ends up in front of a screen the way that we're all in front of screens. You know what I mean? Like, we keep talking about the screenless future. It's probably in my kids on their horizon. Thank you, Shy Lady. Those are great stories. I appreciate you informing the rest of us. If anybody else has anything I missed, feel free to hit me in the comments. If you want the Daily Sigh delivered directly in your inbox, you can go to dailysigh.ai. I go live every single business day at 6 p.m. Eastern to give you everything that matters in the entrepreneurial world. I appreciate all of you that just tuned in. I see Enzo, Doc Holiday.